Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you've not watched the first video on the repair of this Vauxhall Corsa, if you jump back to the part 1, it'll bring you up to date to where we are now. So as you can see on screen, this was the dent that we were given before we started any work on it, and it was in a pretty sad state of affairs. So what we did, we actually used a pin puller and the pulling tower, and we pulled all this dent back out. Got it all back where it needed to be, shrunk the metal to give it its strength back, dressed it up with a grinder, and then sanded it all back with 80 grit on the DS sander so we could then get some filler in it. And this is where we left the last video. So next up we need to get it masked up and thrown in the oven, which is what we've got done here. And the first thing I need to do is put some etch primer onto the bare metal and the filler. And this is to make sure that when we put the high build primer on, that this will adhere to the bare metal. Now at the bottom of this sill, the stone chip primer, which I have just to say sanded the top off, it's not taken the primer off itself, but I've taken the texture off. So I've just put this piece of masking paper on, and this is a little hack. You can turn the pressure right down on the primer gun and it spits the primer onto the panel, and it gives the effect of the stone chip primer. So once you've done that, whip that piece of paper off and then straight on with the first coat of primer. Just sit here drying this, and then we can go straight on with the second coat. Quick check of the panel. Obviously I'm not quite happy with what we've done, so we put another coat on just to make sure. Then last job is just to quickly guide coat the inside of this door shut. And here we are, that's it all in primer. So the idea with the guide coat inside the door shut is Mark's going to flat that and paint inside the shut first thing in the morning. So that can be baked off and we can start flattening the outside, ready to paint the outside then. So primer done, I'll flick it over onto bake and then ready for the morning. So here we are back out of the oven, a couple of little patches where I've seen some pinholes. This is why I always like to do the pinholes before guide coat, otherwise you can't see them afterwards. So Mark's already blown in the inside of this door shut this morning. I think he's used some fast lacquer so it goes off nice and quick. And that just means we can now concentrate on the outside of the panels rather than having to worry about blowing inside this door shut as well. It's a nice, easy way of doing it. Speeds up us painting and getting the job finished. So next up what we have to do is prep these panels for paint. Now I was always taught to start with the Scotch-Brite and start doing the edges first. You can just see on the edge where I am now, I've got some PVC electrical tape on that edge of the wing so we don't damage the edge of that wing whilst prepping this panel. It's probably the most important part of the whole process is the prep, because if your prep isn't right, your paint will never be either. And there's loads of different ways to prep. People use 800 or 1000 on a DS sander, or they do it wet, they do it dry. It doesn't really matter how you do it as long as you get the same results and the prep finish is nice. I don't think you can beat wet and dry with sandpaper. You're up close and personal with the panel. If there's any grit between the sandpaper and the panel, you can feel it straight away, so you aren't going to get any tram lines as you are prepping and sanding the primer down. And I personally think wet sanding has a lot better finish. But again, it all comes down to personal preference or the shop that you're working in. If you're working in a big accident repair shop, they need you to be as fast as you possibly can be. Obviously a DS sander is going to be quicker than it would be to sand it by hand. So moving on to the quarter panel, I always like to put a piece of masking paper over the wheels. That stops all the flatting from the primer going over the tyre and the wheel. It just keeps the job a lot cleaner and you don't end up staining the tyre with the primer then. Also known as gravy stains or flatting gravy.
I can count on one hand how many times. Never been wrong in my life. That's Laura, I tell you. I'm sure.
Eh? Yeah. Here we go. Mark might start sweating again. That's why my back hurts so much. That's why my back hurts so much. Carrying you. So I'm very methodical how I flat things or prep things. I always like to go from the top down. As you move from the top down, you can make sure that you've finished that area before you move. A lot of people just go here, there and everywhere, but I like to be methodical with it and finish one area before I move to the next to make sure I've finished that properly. Making sure you clean up as you go along as well. You don't want a load of staining water everywhere. So keep cleaning the panel as you're flying. Keeps your workspace clean, you can see what's going on. Leave a comment. Let's see what other people do, how they prefer to flat, or if they use DA sanders or what. It's very much depends on the person as to how they want to prep their panels. But yeah, let's see in the comments. Let's see how you prep your panels. So as I work my way across this quarter panel, I'll come to that little bit of stopper that I've put. Just need to block that off and be careful. If you rub in the area too much without focusing on where that bit of stopper was, what you'll end up doing is creating a divot all the way around where that bit of stopper is, so you need to be really careful with those. At the end of the day, we're trying to refinish these cars so you can't tell that they've been in a bump or an accident. So I've swapped to a different block to do this curved area here. This is a nice soft foam radius that I've got, trying to get this concave shape back. And these are quite tricky where the two concaved parts meet. You've got the lower part that I'm sanding there, and then that piece that I'm sanding now is the bit off the wheel arch, and they come to a point right in that very corner, and trying to get those to blend into each other without making any ripples or any lines in it is actually very difficult. So that's the hardest piece, I would say, flattening this quarter panel. And this probably takes up most of your time trying to get these little small refined areas perfect. The large areas you can just block them off quickly with the normal block, but trying to get these smaller, more detailed areas right is where most of the time's spent. Again, trying to use a DA in areas like that would just be impossible. I personally wouldn't use a DA anywhere near any of these intricate areas. So you can see how up close and personal I can get with it being wet flatted. Plus, with it being wet, you get the nice shine from the water, so that gives the effect of lacquer being on the panel. So then you can see what the reflections are like, see if that panel's looking straight and flat or not. And then just to finish off this little area here, just use Mark 1 fingertips. Onto the last couple of areas, just flattening off these nice flat areas on this wheel arch. Ensuring we don't go over the top of this swage line and damage all the hard work we've just done. So that's the Corsa flatted. Just put it in the oven, taking the wheel off, ready to mask it up in the morning. I've also got a little bit of a repair to do on this alloy. We don't normally do alloys, we normally send them away to get done, but for the sake of that little bit of damage and the car not being able to go back to the customer for another 3 or 4 days by the time they come back, we might as well just do it. But yeah, it's all come out nice. Body lines are all nice, reinstated. Nice curve at the bottom, still going up into the quarter panel. Same with the arch, got the curve back. And then that small repair that we did here as well, that's all come out good. So it's all scotched up all the way to the wing. everything's prepped. Mark's obviously already done inside the door shut, so that's finished. And then what we're going to do is mask up sort of inside the wheel arch and we can get colour on the back. It doesn't need any colour on the back, but if we seal it just as a precaution. So we'll get it painted tomorrow. I'll probably put the camera on for Mark, so when he's painting he can do like a time lapse of him painting the red. You don't really need to see masking it up, everyone knows how cars get masked up, so yeah, see what happens tomorrow. So that's it all masked up now. Mark's going to paint it shortly and blend top of the roof rail there, but yeah, all the lines are nice, looking good, prepped up well. Got the wheel set here as well, that's to quickly blow over. There's a tiny scuff on it, but it's part of the insurance if they want it doing, so yeah, get it painted. So here's our painter Mark Holden, Amanda Holden's brother. You just saw him tack rag the panel off and then he's going straight on with his first coat. And we use water-based paint, and because it's water-based you have to physically dry this paint off. So blowing air at it, it will naturally make the water evaporate out of the paint and just leave the paint itself stuck to the panel. So this is second coat going on now. Once he's done that, he's going to switch over to his other gun ready with this silver for the wheel, and he's going to quickly blow that in as well. Quick check of his OnlyFans page. Second coat of silver. On with this drop coat. And then should be ready for lacquer next. Controversial question, do you start from the bottom or do you start from the top when you are lacquering? That's the first coat done on both the car and on the alloy wheel. So with the second coat finished, he'll switch over to his other gun, which has probably got the fade out thinners already in. He'll peel that piece of paper back and then flick the blending agent. And this is designed to melt the new lacquer into the old so you can't see how it's been blended. Quick check, see how many runs he's got, and that's it done.
Make sure you look out for camera thieves in your area.
All I can see is you in background like a teapot. Whilst on video. Yeah, Mark put that in. That grommet that just fell out of sill, Mark put that in. Useless. So 20 hours in, 3 days to do the job. We've got it all finished. Mark's just finished building it up. He was waiting for me, so I decided just to build it up anyway. So I'll flip you around and let you have a look. Now I'd guesstimate there's a maximum of 2mm of filler in the full panel. That's what we used to have to work to at BMW, it was 2mm. Anything more than 2mm we'd have to replace the panel, so I'd say that was a job done. On to the next one.